Let's talk about representing data using a rectangle graph. It's very similar to a circle graph. You might want to watch that video first if you haven't already, the circle graph video. It's very similar to a rectangle graph. So step one is to draw a rectangle that is a certain amount of inches in length, or you could use centimeters as well. So you get to choose. It's completely up to you. Maybe 3 inches. Mine here is 6 inches. So we're going to draw a rectangle. All right, and then step 2 is let's look at some data. So number 1, a certain city council voted on an issue called issue 3. 120 voted yes, 80 people voted no, and 40 people voted undecided. So we want to use a rectangle graph to represent this data. We're going to look at a table. So I encourage you to draw yourself a table. All right, so here you can see my table. You'll want to draw yourself a table as well. So the labels are yes, no, and undecided. Those were the 3 choices that City Council had when they voted. Now we're going to fill in the amount of votes for each yes, no, and undecided category. And then we'll calculate the percentages, and then we'll figure out the length. So the amount of each, our word problem tells us that 120 voted yes, 80 voted no, and then 40 voted undecided. This is very important. You have to do the step, find the total. 120 plus 80 plus 40, which is 240. So we have to know that before we proceed. All right, now that we know the totals, the amounts, let's find the percentages. So to find a percentage, you divide the part by the whole. That's why it was important that we know the whole total, 240. So to find that first percentage, finding the percentage of people that voted yes, we take 120, since 120 people voted yes, and divide it by the total number of people who voted. 240 people voted. We'll do the same thing for no. 80 people voted no out of 240. And then do it one more time for the undecided. 40 people were undecided out of 240. I'm writing these as fractions, but a fraction bar just means division. So divide 120, sorry about that, 120 by 240. Or you might notice that that reduces to 1/2, which gives me 0.5, which is 50%. So I'm going to fill that in for my yeses. 50% voted yes. All right, for my no's, 80 over 240. So 80 divided by 240. That will give you 0.33 repeating. For a percentage, we're just going to round to the 100th place, so 2 decimal places. So 33% of City Council voted no. And then yes, 40 divided by 240 will give you 0.16 repeating, so we'll round it to 0.17, which is 17%. So a good check here is to find the total to make sure we calculated those percentages correctly. If I did it correct, if I add together those percentages, 50 plus 33 plus 17 should give me a total of 100%. And it does indeed. 50 plus 33 plus 17 does give me 100%. So that's just a good way to check yourself. That should always equal 100%. Okay, going on to find the lengths. How long should I make each of these sections in a rectangle? So my total, and yours might be different depending on how big you made your rectangle. My rectangle total is 6 inches. So I'm dividing these 6 inches up for yes, no, and undecided. So how we figure that out is we take the percentages and multiply them by 6 inches. So to find the length for yes, we take 6 inches and multiply it by 0.50 for 50%. Change 50% into a decimal, which is 0.50. And that should give you 3 inches. All right, same thing for no. Take 6 inches, multiply it by 0.33. So that is 1.9 inches, which I'm just going to round to 2 inches. And then lastly, for undecided, 6 inches times 0.17, which again is that percentage, and 6 times 0.17 is 1.02, which I'm just going to round to 1 inch. Okay, and then just a quick check here. 3 plus 2 plus 1 does indeed total 6 inches, which is what it should since my rectangle here is 6 inches in length. So if yours was 3 inches in length, then this number should be 3. If it was 1 inch, then that number should be 1. Okay, now we can go ahead and start drawing our rectangle graph. So first I'm going to start with my yes category. So here my yes category was 50% of the people voted yes, and so that should be 3 inches in length, which is 50% of my rectangle graph. So I'm going to grab my ruler and measure 3 inches in length. I'm going to make a mark where I see 3 inches. Whoa! Okay. Then move my ruler out of the way. All right, and then with a straight edge, you want to extend this mark all the way down through my rectangle. Okay, so that's the first part of my rectangle graph. Then you're going to write the label. So for this, my label is the people that voted yes, and then write in the percentage. 50% voted yes. So you're going to write the label and the percentage. All right, next is my no people. Who voted no? So for my no's, 80 people voted no. 33% of those people, of the total people, voted no. So that means it needs to be 2 inches. So you're going to take your ruler, start from where you left off for the yeses, and measure, for me it's 2 inches. And make a mark at that 2-inch mark. Then extend that through your rectangle graph. All right, there you can see I extended it up. And then I'm going to write in, this is the no category. the people that voted no, and then write in your percentage. How many people voted no? 33%. All right, and then this last category, the undecided category, I don't necessarily have to measure that since it's already there for me, but I can go ahead and slide my ruler over, and we can see that it should be 1 inch for my undecided. So for my undecided, which is this column here, 40 people voted undecided, which was 17% of my total number of people, which equaled 1 inch in length for my rectangle graph, and it is indeed 1 inch. You can see there from my ruler. So in this section, I need to write undecided, which you can see I don't have enough room. So I'm just going to write it at the top, undecided and 17%. So that section is undecided, 17%, and I am finished. So again, finding the amounts just from your story problem, finding the percentage by dividing the amounts by the total, and then finding the lengths by multiplying the percentage times the entire length of your rectangle graph. So hopefully that was a help to you. A rectangle graph is just another alternative to the circle graph to be able to show in a picture what our data represents.